Hi, Aries, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your October 16th to the 30th, 2021 reading for you. Now, I ask if this reading resonates with you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will be listed and linked in the description box below. Now, before we begin this reading, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds, letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. Let's let the bowls sing as we see what the tarot has to say. Aries, October 16th to the 30th, 2021, Aries. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides, angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Ooh, oh, I love that. They chose themselves, as they always do. But I love it when they jump out. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides. Show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides. So at the bottom is our rooted self. The left-hand side is our inner self. The middle, our heart, our emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. Let's see what the cards have to say. We start off with death, which is Scorpio energy. If we have Scorpio within our natal chart, that's coming through very powerfully at our root. Then we have the sun. So we have this darkness and then this light coming through. The sun is the happiest card in the whole entire deck. So that's absolutely brilliant. We then have the goddess of earth, which is earth sign energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. If we're born on the cusp with Taurus, or we have Taurus within our natal chart, that's coming through very powerfully within our inner selves, meaning we're more grounded. Just like with the death card, we're more walking between worlds. I always see the death card, Scorpio energy, as the person who walks in the shadows and understands the shadows quite well. Then we have the shaman, which in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck is the hangman. So again, we're seeing things quite differently as the death card brings. As we are very grounded to the earth, we're coming to it with a different energy. We're coming to it with a powerful energy, but a very unique energy. We then have the Nine of Wands. In our hearts, we have to stop listening to everybody else and really focus on ourselves. Again, we have the death card, so the Scorpio energy is coming through very powerfully, grounding us and also at our heart. And then we have the public arena, where we have the Six of Pentacles, and we have the the Knight of Swords. Knight of Swords is air sign energy, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. We're going to be very good at defending our point of view during this time. We're also going to know that we need things to be more balanced, and we're going to see where either we're being taken advantage of or where we have discord, disharmony, imbalance within our lives. Now, let's see the energy that we have to be mindful of during this time. I apologize for my squeaky chair. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. We have the death card. So now we have the death card coming through 3 times. Now, because here it is a warning, it comes through a little bit differently. We have to be mindful of secrets. We have to be mindful of the secrets that we keep. We have to be mindful of the secrets that are around us. It can be that somebody that we're trusting or people that we're putting our faith in have secrets or have ulterior motives. Now, everybody has ulterior motives and everybody has secrets. They don't tell you everything, because if they did, that would be a little bit intense. So here, there is the sense of understand that a lot of people come to things just with surface value. Just with what you see on the surface is what you should be able, is what you should expect from them. Okay? Meaning that there's not going to be a lot of depth, meaning that what you are going to say, oh, well, this person should be, you're not going to see that that person's actually able to. People are going to tell you what they're able to do by the way they treat you. Yes, but also you have to watch by the way they treat somebody who they don't think is worth anything. Meaning that, the way they treat, and I don't mean this to sound rude, but the way they treat baristas or, retail people or, waiters or something like that. And having worked a bunch of those jobs, you do see the worst in people, and people will treat their friends very nicely or treat the people that they're trying to impress, but the people that they're not going to care. So being mindful of that is going to be really important for us during this time. It's going to be really important for us to see what is in between, what is between the person that they're trying to impress and the person that they're not. And that's going to really give us a heads up. Now let's look at our chakra energy. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly, angels. Ooh. And that is abundance, the root chakra. Now, the root chakra and abundance is telling us that at our root is abundance, is prosperity, is success. Now, we can look at this and think, oh my gosh, yes, I'm going to get that fancy car, I'm going to get that big house. That's not how Spirit sees abundance. Spirit sees abundance as calm. Spirit sees abundance as living our purpose, living our power, embracing who we are. And as we embrace that, as we see ourselves, as we open ourselves up to what we desire and what we want and what we need and who we are, we start to see ourselves becoming more and more and more of what it is that we desire to be. Now, that sounds a little bit hocus pocusy at times, or a little bit like, okay, that's good. Those are good word stains. But how do we embrace that? Honestly, how do we move towards abundance? And excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. I do apologize. How do we move towards abundance at our root? My personal belief is that we're not put on this earth to fail. We're just not. We're put on this earth to have to learn some tough lessons that maybe we don't want to learn, and those can feel like failures. We're here to understand ourselves. We're here to embrace what we desire and want and need. But we have to see what success is for us, what we think of as abundance, what is prosperous for us, and then start to embrace that. Meaning that we don't try to make ourselves into somebody that we're not. It's kind of like a scientist trying to make themselves into a, famous artist, or a famous artist trying to make themselves into a scientist. Some can do it. Yes, some can pull it off, but the majority can't, because their body is aligned, their mind is aligned, their talents are aligned for not one specific thing, but in a specific area, specific way of thinking. And we have to embrace that within ourselves, not trying to make ourselves into somebody that we're not. Now, let's talk about the astrological aspect of the 16th through the 30th and go through the planetary alignment of this time. We start off on the 16th of October with Mercury sextile Venus. Now, this is absolutely beautiful energy. This is the energy that we've needed, with Mercury in control of communication and Venus ruling our love. We're wonderful at social engagement, and there's pleasure around being around people and around being part of this world. This is a day not meant for fighting. It's not meant for arguments and big trials. It's meant for coming together. And we can see that we shine, and we can see that we really need this. In our inner selves, we're looking at things differently, but we're also very grounded to the earth. So in our inner selves, we're longing for that connection. We're longing for that interaction that really comes out on the 16th of October. On the 17th of October, the sun is going to be squared Pluto. So we say goodbye to the calm energy of Mercury sextile Venus, which it only feels like we got this for a moment. And we say hello to the intensity that we've become used to from the new moon, from everything that we've been through in the world. We're used to this intensity and kind of being a little bit on edge. What we need to be mindful of is our own egos getting in the way during this time. We are going to be drawn to very intense people. We're going to embrace our own intensity. We're going to think, if I go hard at it, if I just keep pushing at it, I will win. This is going to be a time when we kind of need to step back, and we need to focus our intensity towards what it is that we want, meaning that we can absolutely explode things, absolutely move forward if we take ourselves and kind of focus ourselves like dynamite, right? Or not like dynamite, more like a precision laser, to be able to to cut and move exactly where we need to. That's going to be the game changer here. If we embrace this, if we start to embrace ourselves moving forward this way, we're going to start to see that we see ourselves as a hero, not in the sense of, again, letting the ego be in control, but in the sense of, look how far I've come, look how much I've achieved. On the 18th of October, Jupiter comes direct. Now we have a few planets that come direct during this time and another planetary alignment. So all in all, we have three planets here, three planetary alignments here. We start off with Jupiter coming direct. Now, when Jupiter goes into retrograde, which it did in June, we are giving a 4-month period to put our spiritual and inner needs in order. This is a time for seeing harsh truths and being honest with ourselves. Now, as Jupiter comes direct, we have the courage and the insight to act on what we've learned and to embrace success, meaning that everything that we've tripped over during these 4 months, everything that has been bothersome to us, how we've been feeling things too intensely or maybe not intensely enough, how our temper has been hot or our passion has been, risen, we start to see where that comes in handy. We start to see how that leads us towards abundance. We start to see the beauty of the in-between. And as we do this, we start to get ourselves on track. We have the courage to learn, to succeed. We need to take advantage of this. Now, Mercury also comes direct. Now, what we need to remember about Mercury coming direct is the star alignment, because that star alignment is really quite intense. So we need to keep a positive mindset, really focusing in on how we've learned, how we've grown, what it is that we want to succeed at. And as we keep this high energy vibration, it's also really important because we have the fixed star, Vindamatrix. Now, Vindamatrix can bring melancholy, impatience, and rashness if we don't have a high energy vibration. It can also kind of toy with us with Jupiter coming direct and make us think you're never going to learn. You're never going to learn your lessons. You're never going to see what it is that you want to see. You're always going to be thinking that, it's going to be 1,500 million miles before you actually get to your destination. That's not true. We have to be mindful of feeding this melancholy. Again, being really into true crime, murder mysteries, horror. Those are going to be things that, or even just books that have this really kind of sad undertone to them. We need to keep the energy vibration high. I have seen this myself. Spirit gives me this information, and I've been reading this one book that's huge. It's this big, and it had some parts in it that were upsetting and intense and depressing, and I thought, but I'm almost done. I can't stop it now. I can't put it down. I have to be able to finish. So we can have to kind of face that energy if we're putting ourselves in those positions where that energy of melancholy, that energy of rashness, that energy of maybe even depression is around us. So we have to be mindful of that, because Vindamatrix will absolutely take advantage of it and make us think that we can't instead of that we can, that we can't achieve anything, that we can't be what we want to be instead of that absolutely we can. I just have to focus. I just have to embrace my heart, my soul, myself. Now, there's also going to be the fixed star, Purima. Purima will let us think that Purima will make us think that we've been working towards something that is just falling away. That what we have been working towards, we're never going to get to. And again, Vindamatrix will absolutely come in and play to the melancholy, play to the over dramatic sense of, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get there. But if we keep a high energy vibration, if we acknowledge the harshness within us, the doubts, the fears, we can start to see, because Purima then aligns us to be able to see the underhanded side of people without being drawn into them, not being drawn into their games, their trickery, their hurts, their deceits. So understand that this can be a time where we almost have a superhuman power to be able to call out people. We don't have to do it out loud. We can do it to ourselves and just say, well, you know what? I can smile to their face and not trust them. It's going to be, trust everybody but brand your cattle type of mentality that's going on. Now, Mars is also going to be trine Jupiter during this time. This brings success and has us moving forward with strength and confidence, which is fantastic energy to combat Mercury going direct. Jupiter coming direct, Mercury going direct, they kind of cancel out each other. We could kind of feel the sense of, oh, okay, I'm coming into a time that's powerful, that's insightful. Yes, there's a bit of melancholy, but I don't have to watch my words all the time. I'm not having things be misunderstood through Mercury direct. And with Mars trine Jupiter, again, it brings us the success, the strength to look forward, and this confidence. Our central energy and our and our creative energy need to be expressed. This is the perfect time to meditate on our sacral chakra. Luck is on our side. Luck is on our side. Meditate on our sacral chakra. Look at what has been holding us back. Look at the doubts and fears from this life, from past lives that have been carried forward, for too long, that have been too much of a weight upon us. And now it's time to embrace our sensual energy, our sexual energy, our creative energy, and let ourselves be. Not say, okay, I'll be happy when I lose 20 pounds. I'll be happy with my body. Or when I gain, weight, I'll be happy with my body. When I'm this, when I'm that. It's like, no, I'm happy with me now. This is my body. This is who I am. This is what I am. And I get to accept that. As long as we're coming in from a place of love, from kindness, from honor, and even hope, it's really quite beautiful. On the 20th of October, we have the Hunter's full moon in Aries. Now, this is considered a sacred moon by many cultures, and we will be diving deeper into this full moon in another video. On the 22nd of October, Mars is squared Pluto. We are set to achieve our potential and increase our power. We are driven, we are determined, and our energy is on point. This is a time to get the job done. We are going after what we want. Tempers may run a bit high because we are Aries energy, kind of ruled by Mars. We have to be able to kind of step back and say, all right, I see my temper. I see where I'm getting too focused, where I'm getting too angry. Let me step out of this, but also keep that intensity. It's going to be everything. It's going to be everything. If we're mindful of our anger, if we're mindful of our frustration, we start to soar. On the 26th of October, Venus is squared Neptune. Now, this can be a very tricky time for us. This is a time where it makes it harsh. It just makes it harsh for us to stay in love with ourselves or to even like ourselves. We might not recognize our own worth. This is a time of sensitivity and having to remember that we matter, because it can become very easy to forget that, to think, no matter how hard I try, no matter how much I do the right thing, I don't matter. I don't count. We need to come to this day with our arms opened to love for ourselves. Not just for everybody else, not to give the pep talk to everybody else, but to be able to say, I love you. To be able to look in the mirror and say, you're worth it. I love you. Remember that you are enough and you will always be enough. There might be things that you want to achieve. There might be, more that you want to have within your life. Those things will come. But first and foremost, have your feet firmly planted on the ground, which we do with our inner self, with the earth goddess. Have your feet firmly planted on the ground. Know that you matter and embrace your voice. This is a perfect time to focus on our heart chakra, and we have to remember not to get into our own heads. On the 8th of October, Venus is going to be sextile Jupiter. We wash away the doubts and the fears of Venus squared Neptune, which I know carry into the 27th of October. We can still feel a little shaky on our feet. By the 28th of October, it's like, no, I'm worth it. I know it. I see it. Here, we know that we are loved. We know our worth. This is a balancing time for us, and we need to take advantage of it. This is a great time for indulgence. This is a great time for, self-expression. Just don't overindulge, because that can lead to bad things. On the 30th of October, Halloween, the sun is going to be squared Saturn. Here we are given challenges that hone our own insecurities. Okay, so they're challenges that are almost specifically made for us. It's almost like this is a day of tests. And what we need to understand here is that we can't run away from it, because it'll just follow us, kind of like our shadow. This is a time to show how far we've come to ourselves and to others. This is a fantastic time for late bloomers. This is a fantastic time for people who have started to doubt their worth. Now we start to say, you know what? I am worth it. I am powerful. I am intuitive. I am graceful. I am embracing who I am. Period. End of discussion. It also leads into Shamwin, which is just this time of the connection between worlds, which actually can be really powerful for us because we have the triple death card here. We have the sense of walking between the spirit world, the earthly world, and the spirit world, being able to see what others do not see. So during this time, we are connected. We're just simply connected. That can make us a bit more sensitive. That can make things a bit more intense. Yes, it absolutely can. But there's also the sense here of transformation, rebirth, greater understanding. And it brings just this beautiful, glorious light forward. We start to see our worth. We start to see what we desire, what we want, what we need. And as we are reborn, as we claim our power, as we see the in-between, between the earthly plane and the spiritual plane, we start to see ourselves openly, honestly, powerfully, and intuitively. We start to embrace what we love. We start to embrace what we want. We start to realize that we're worth it. We might have to work on this, especially if we're late bloomers, especially if we've had, doubts or fears or depressions and anxieties in the past. We have to remember that we are worth it. We're not living for other people's expectations. What we're living for is our hearts and our expressions and our souls and ourselves. What we're doing is trying to make the world a little bit of a better place when we leave it than when we came into it, by adding love, by adding compassion. We look between and we see that life is more than just, numbers and figures and money and houses and cars and all those things that we use to tally up success. And life can even be more than just sitting in meditation all day, trying desperately to connect with the spiritual and embracing the esoteric life instead of finding the balance between the two. We might be drawn to the extremes during this time, Aries. For you, I don't really see that quite as much because you're very passion-driven, earth-driven. You very much make an imprint on the earth and the place that you stand. But this can be a time where we start to contemplate that. We start to be drawn to extremes, and we have to remember to stay balanced. The sun shines within us, the luckiest card in the whole entire deck. Happiness, success, passion, intuition, desires. We start to move forward towards what we love and what we want, and we let ourselves shine. Will people take us by eyes? Absolutely. Absolutely. They will want to see you fall. They will want to see you fail. They will be jealous that you are shining with this innate power that you might not even see, but they see within you. And so during this time, we can have people who think, if you're successful, I can't be. If you're happy, I can't be. It's a very childish way of looking at it, but it's a very human way of looking at it. So we have to be mindful for that. In our inner selves, we need to connect with the earth. We need to connect with the earth and the stars. Standing outside at night, being able to look at the stars would just be a beautiful thing for us. Connecting with the milk and the honey that enhances our mind and guides our heart. That there are going to be extremes to us, the richness and the vastness, the desert, the harshness that's coming in. One can be humid, one can be, a dry, intense heat. It doesn't matter. We're going to go in intensity towards the way that we're creating, the way that we're developing. We can have days where we're super creative. We can have days that we're thinking about things in a very innovative, intense way. It leads us to the shaman. It leads us to seeing things differently. I love that he's drumming. I love that he's embracing the energy vibration of things. He's sending out his own vibration, his own understanding, and yet he doesn't see what everybody else sees. He sees what's inside. And again, because of the triple death card, we are not going to see what everybody else sees. We're going to see things differently. We're going to look at things more intensely, more passionately, more powerfully. Or we're just going to look at things differently. It's going to be almost like, I thought everything was supposed to follow this pattern. And now I'm thinking, why? Why do it like this? Why move forward this way? Why not try something different? Why not break down the barriers? Why not open up the doors? And we're going to see that by doing so, we start to embrace ourselves. We start to embrace our own transformation. We start to give ourselves flight. We start to find out that there's more to life than we expected. It leads us to our hearts. Our hearts can feel rather overwhelmed. We've been listening to everybody, trying to be everything for everyone. What is that song? You can't please everyone, so you have to please yourself. That's, I believe, from The Garden Party. And so here, there's a sense of, I can't live for anybody else. I have to start living for me. And I have to embrace that it's wounded me. Everybody's opinions, everybody's thoughts, the advertisement that's shoved down my throat, the, way that I'm supposed to be, that I expect or that others expect, that I think, if you're like this, then you're successful. If you're like that, then you're not. And now it is a time that I start to embrace who I am, what I want, and what I desire. I start to realize that I've stood strong in this war of identity, in this, battle of who I am and where it is that I want to be. It leads us once again to the death card. That transformation of heart. This is a time where we embrace our hearts, not just as this emotional, sappy, place to be, but as this intensity, as this is my emotions, as these are my desires, this is my heart and my essence and my, coming together of self. I am transformed. And by knowing that we are transformed, we're going to see that spirit guides us in a very real way. These dogs here in Celtic tradition, they are the spirit world animals, as he is a spirit being. And so we're going to start to see that we're guided by almost the howls of the other world, which sounds very dramatic, but there's going to be this this innate sense of there's something more here than meets the eye. There's a different way forward than what I had expected, what I had thought, what I had originally envisioned within my life. And as I embrace this, we have the Six of Pentacles. We have the sense of, yes, I'm moving towards something different, and I'm starting to see that my world, my waking world, needs to be more balanced, and that becomes a gift to us. We need to have things balanced. We need to have things harmonizing. We need to embrace what we want, what we desire, who we are, where we're headed, and why it is that we're here. We're going to realize that people are taking advantage of us. We can even realize that we're taking advantage of others. This is a time to say thank you. This is a time to realize the hard work that everybody puts in, and the fact that, we're all like little cogs in the machine, but we're all like those little teeth in the gears that if one is broken, it matters. Things don't run as smoothly. We matter. And this is going to be a time where we start to embrace that in the public arena. We start to see that for ourselves. We start to have that connection. And it leads us to the Knight of Swords. It leads us to being a defender of our voice, being a defender of the way that we want to move forward, of what we are expressing within ourselves, how we're cutting through doubts and fears and negativities, hurts and pains and disappointments, how we're seeing ourselves fly forward, how we're seeing ourselves, embrace what it is that we want. We can be a little bit rash, no joke, in the public arena. We can sit there and think, I just have to go for it. If I don't go now, it's never going to happen. We have a tendency towards rashness ourselves, and the air fueling our fire can make us just go and do instead of think and trust. So this is going to be a time where we have to be mindful of acting just for the sake of acting, moving forward just for the sake of moving forward, and not being mindful of what we're going after. If we bring that mindfulness forward, if we look at things and say, this is what I want, this is what I need, this is what I desire, this is the quality of what I expect from myself and from others, and then charge forward, we will start to see that it's extraordinary. We will start to see that we raise ourselves up, our energy vibration starts to excel, our faith within ourselves and the desires for ourselves start to rise and rise and rise, and other people either rise with us or they leave us alone. Maybe they don't leave us alone. They might make a bit of a hissy fit as they're leaving, but it's kind of like, don't let the door hit you on your way out. I have places to go. I have things to succeed at, and I'm not going to let you bother me. That's going to be a really powerful thing during this time. Now, our subconscious energy to be mindful of is the Prince of Cups. We have to be mindful of our mind and our heart kind of fighting against each other. Our heart saying, I want this now, emotionally, I'm going to act very viscerally to things, and our mind saying, no, not emotionally, I'm going to act very logically, very, succinctly to things, and thinking that the two cannot get along. That's not going to be true. We need to balance our hearts and our minds. We're also going to be drawn to people who just act very emotionally towards everything and are saying, okay, you need to act, you need to act, you need to act. And that's not going to help us. It's going to be, I need to embrace my emotions. I need to understand my emotions, and then I will move myself forward. Then I will go after what I need, what I want, and what I desire. It moves us then to our subconscious chakra energy, which is the third eye chakra and visualization. Now, visualization gets a bad rap because people say, if you visualize it, it will happen. And then you sit and you visualize and it doesn't happen. You still wake up, you still have the same crummy job, you still have the same doubts and fears and insecurities. The thing with visualization is that you're making new pathways within your mind. Your mind does not know the difference between make-believe and reality, which is a very cool thing and kind of a scary thing if you think about it. With visualization and opening up the third eye chakra, what we start to do is we start to set that pathway of success. We start to say, I can do that. And when we tell our mind, I can do this, I've been visualizing this, I've been working towards this. And so when we're ready to act upon it, which can take years to be ready to act upon something that we've kind of been psyching ourselves up for, something that we've been saying, this is what I am, this is what I do, this is what I love, this is what I want. And so when the time comes, we can walk that road a little bit more easily, or a little bit easier, because it's like, I've already been there. Our mind thinks, I've already walked this, I've already seen this, I've already done this. It's not as terrifying. And so it gives us strength, it gives us power. It lets us trick our minds that we're already there when we might not be. But we need that tricking. We need that sense of, yes, you can. And by visualization, by simply visualizing it, we start to trick our minds to say, oh, yes, you can. Yes, you can do that. Look, you already have. Because our minds do not know that we haven't yet. Our subconscious rooted energy is the mystic. This is the high priestess in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. This is lifting the veil from our eyes. This is finding our power and our insight and our ideas and seeing behind everybody's masks. That's where the death card comes in. We're not fooled anymore. We can want to be fooled. We can desperately think, I want to see things the way that I saw things before. I want to have the lies. I want to have the fooling. I want to have things easier than they are. But the veil is being lifted. We're seeing people for who they are, not who they want to project forward. And that's something that we can find actually disturbing. So we have to understand that this journey might be a little bit more intense than we had thought it was going to be. This realization might be a little bit more powerful than, again, we thought it was going to be. The High Priestess doesn't care about anybody else's opinion. She cares about where she stands. She cares about her power. She cares about her insight. She cares about her ideas and her determination forward. And this is what we're going to care about during this time. This is a time where, yes, our hearts can be wounded by everybody else, but we see ourselves. We see ourselves, and that's why we start to realize our worth. That's why we start to transform. That's why the rebirth comes in, because at a subconscious level, that's what we're moving towards. So be mindful about it. Be mindful when you start to question a person. You're like, well, that's what you think. That's great. But this is what I think. This is how I see the situation. And I'm not going to let you change my point of view. And then moves us to our subconscious inner self. And it's the Four of Wands. It's celebration and success and happiness and joy. It can be new job opportunities, new home opportunities. It can just also be a sense of, I'm letting myself celebrate and I'm letting myself stand by the divinity and, be empowered, be emboldened by that security. I am letting myself embrace. And as I let myself embrace, this is the Minor Arcana marriage card. We start to see what we are married to, not who we are married to, not putting ourselves with another person, but putting ourselves with our own thoughts and desires and instincts and passions, and saying, what is it that if I go against this, I go against the very foundation of me? What is it that if I, forget this, I forget the very foundation of me? And we might find that maybe the people that we've aligned ourselves with in life don't actually help move us forward in the way that we want to. This is the time where we need to say, my dreams matter. I matter. I'm moving myself forward. I'm embracing what I want from life. It brings us to our subconscious emotional self, and it's the Eight of Cups. We're walking away from what we once thought we would love. This is my endings card. All right. So when the Eight of Cups come up, we can find that a relationship ends. We can find that a career ends. It's like, you know what? I don't want to do that anymore. I'm taking a different road. But it's something that we ourselves are walking away from. Now, it can be that there's this huge change that comes into our lives, but we were preparing for it. It's going to be a really big surprise. It's almost going to be that energy of, Jupiter direct coming into play. We've been preparing ourselves to move forward in our honesty, to move forward in our truth, to go in the direction of courage and insight that we've been afraid to go after. We are looking at the things that are holding us back. And for some of us, or for most of us, we're going to think, but that was something I really wanted. That was something that fit, and it fit so perfectly at the time, but it doesn't fit anymore. I always equate this to shoes, because if you wear a pair of shoes that are too small, you can't make them fit. You just can't. Shoes can be a bit too big. You can add extra socks. You can kind of stuff, paper in the shoes, and you can make it work. You can at least make it so that you can walk in them and be semi-comfortable, but you can't make shoes that are too small fit. And that's what we've been trying to do. And it just makes us grouchy. If you wore shoes that are too small, it makes you grouchy. It brings you pain. And now it is the time to say, why am I doing this? What am I trying to succeed by trying to make something that doesn't work? It brings us to our subconscious public arena self. And that's the High Priestess coming through again. Now we have the High Priestess coming through twice. And what she is saying here, now this is empowerment, but this is also saying, trust your insight. Your insight is coming through here, Aries, in the public arena quite intensely. We are seeing things more powerfully. We're seeing things more openly. We're seeing things more honestly. We're seeing ourselves more openly and honestly. We're seeing others. We're not fooled by the mask. And actually, we don't want the mask anymore. We don't want people's doubts and fears and negativities and hurts and pains that they bring to undermine things. We want to walk in our power. We want to walk in our blessing. And this is a time where we might find ourselves saying, I don't care what everybody else thinks. I don't care what everybody else does. I care about me. what I want, what I desire. It's not being egotistical, because again, we have to be mindful of the egotistical energy that can come to play. What it is, it's saying that, and it can come to play on the 17th of October, where we have the sun squared Pluto. What it is saying here is that it's not my ego that gets to take over, but I matter. But I matter, but I get to move forward towards what I desire, but I get to embrace my heart, my soul, my passion, and myself. And as I do so, I get to embrace me. It is time to feel good about me. And the High Priestess says, I see you. I see deeply into you. We're not, this time, excuse my language, but this time is not a time for bullshit. This time is not a time for people who are trying to, get ahead through false compliments, and emptiness. It's just not the time for that. We don't have any type of tolerance for that at all. This is a time for us to say, this is what I want, this is where I'm headed, this is what I desire, this is the plan that I've laid out, this is, these are the bullet points that I've made in my head if we don't like lists, and to go for it. To go for it and embrace our voice, to embrace our passion, to embrace ourselves. All right, Aries. I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I'm sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we embrace the power and the intensity of this time. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Aries.